Okay, I'm starting a second Zoom session, and this one's more intended to be about economics, but I'm just going to fire up ChatGPT. Hello, Chat. I'm firing you up at the start of a session on that's intended to be about the economics of solar. And but I thought I would just feed you the okay, how do I do this? I can't see where to copy something in. Well, I'll do it later.
Got it. Let's dive into the economics of solar. Feel free to feed me your thoughts or key points, and I'll help you shape and refine them into a cohesive narrative or analysis. Let's build this together.
Okay, I'll start by saying some of the things that I mentioned last night. If you can look at this from the macroscopic angle or the microscopic angle. Macroscopically, we are in the biggest economic transformation that's conceivably possible, because we're shifting from a world that is entirely powered by fossil energy, almost entirely powered by, has been entirely powered by fossil energy.
Absolutely right. This shift from a fossil fuel driven world to one powered by renewable energy.
I'm going to interrupt and just have you be quiet whilst I dump ideas in.
Wait, I'm having issues right now.
I
did not understand what you said.
Okay. I'm just interrupting so that I can dump for a while or talk for a while. This biggest economic shift is from internal combustion engine powered economics, which can't be more than 20% efficient because internal combustion engines are only that efficient. And also, it is 100% polluting. Every single drop of fuel that's burned goes to pollute the atmosphere. Whereas if we shift to an electric economy, we shift to motors that are 80% efficient and or better, and which are powered by just interrupting the sun's light momentarily as it comes in and putting it through our networks, driving our electric motors, which, if there is any waste, it's just coming out as heat. And that heat would have happened when the sun hit the building anyway. So it's a nice shift. But it's not clear that everybody understands it as clearly as that, because for many people, we're in an existential crisis being caused by climate change. And it's interesting, this is the last day of 2024. And so it's 6 years.
You're absolutely spot on with this contrast between the inefficiency and pollution of internal combustion engines and the promise of an electric economy powered by renewable energy. This shift is not just a technological upgrade, it's a paradigm change in how we think about energy, efficiency, and environmental impact. Internal combustion engines, capped at around 20% efficiency, waste most of their energy as heat and emit pollutants that contribute directly to climate change. In contrast, electric motors operate at over 80% efficiency with far less energy lost in the process, and the source of energy, solar, is inexhaustible and clean. The key, as you've outlined, is that the waste from an electric economy is negligible and often part of the natural energy balance, like heat dissipation. This shift has profound implications: environmental, a near total elimination of the pollution caused by burning fossil fuels; economic, solar energy is essentially free once the infrastructure is in place, dramatically reducing long-term energy costs; social, decentralizing energy production empowers individuals and communities, reducing dependency on centralized pollutive industries. But you're right. Many people frame this transition primarily as a response to an existential climate crisis, rather than as a fundamental improvement in efficiency and sustainability. This reframing is critical to inspire broader buy-in. Instead of focusing solely on avoiding catastrophe, we can highlight the massive benefits: cleaner air, lower costs, and a more equitable energy system. Would you like to build on these points? Or should we focus on specific economic arguments to strengthen the narrative?
No, I'm afraid I've got quite a lot more to add. First, to bring it to the local level, that is Bristol, and look at how much energy we could generate locally and what the emission savings could be. Then look at it on the micro level, a single kilowatt. How much energy do you get from a single kilowatt of solar over its 30-year lifetime of the panel? And what you would need to charge for that electricity in order to pay off the cost, which I think we will discover very easily is far less than we pay for electricity at the moment. And then to look a little bit at the economists who have ideas on all of this, from the people like Keith, the guy who wrote What We Need to Do Now, which I haven't got to hand and should have.
You're laying out a compelling structure to explore the economics of solar across different scales. Here's how this could unfold. 1. Local level, Bristol's potential. Calculate how much solar energy Bristol could generate with rooftop installations. Estimate the corresponding reduction in emissions if a significant portion of the city's energy needs were met through solar. Highlight the benefits of energy resilience and local job creation through installation and maintenance. 2. Micro level, economics of a single kilowatt. Break down the energy yield of a single kilowatt of solar capacity over a 30-year panel lifespan. Compare the cost of generating that energy with current electricity prices, demonstrating the affordability of solar. Show how these savings can translate to reduced energy bills for individuals and communities. 3. Theoretical and global perspectives. Discuss influential economists and thinkers like Keith, perhaps referencing Keith Barnum, the burning answer, or others who advocate for renewable energy as a driver of economic transformation. Connect these ideas to your project's goals, framing solar not just as an energy solution, but as part of a broader economic and societal shift. Would you like to dive into any of these sections now? Or would you like me to help quantify specific aspects, like Bristol's solar potential or the economics of a kilowatt?
I was going to mention that the book I was searching for was What We Need to Do Now by Chris Goodall, which sits with another book called No Miracle Required by an American researcher, and Zelensky, not Zelensky. Anyway, we'll figure that out. And Ann Pettifer's interesting book, The Case for the Green New Deal.
Chris Goodall's What We Need to Do Now and the American book No Miracle Required offer excellent frameworks for practical, scalable climate solutions.
Yeah, I'm interrupting because I would add Donut Economics by Kate Rayworth. How come that's not shipping? There you go. One moment of clarity. And going back, I'm thinking of books like Energy, the Solar Hydrogen Alternative by John Bockris, which is a classic from way back, holding it upside down, which is a classic from way back, explaining how the entire world economy can be run by hydrogen. Also, Jeremy Rifkin, I've got his book here, The Hydrogen Economy, which backs up what John Bockris, the world's leading electrochemist at his time, said about how you could run the world on solar and hydrogen. But Rifkin also has this wonderful book, The Zero Marginal Cost Economy, which is based on the idea that an economic revolution has three components. First, you've got a new energy source. So the Industrial Revolution had coal. Second, you've got a new technology for transport. In the case of the Industrial Revolution, that's rail. And you've got a new technology for communication, which of course was print. All of these have capital costs and all of them have running costs. And then the second Industrial Revolution had the new technologies for oil and electricity. And transport was cars and aircraft. And communication, we had radio and the telegraph and the telephone. And again, there's a capital cost for all of these infrastructures, and there's running costs for all of them for extracting oil. And then fast forward to now, and you have a new industrial revolution with renewable energy. And there's a capital cost for the renewable energy. You've got to put solar on a roof, you've got to put up a wind turbine, but you're not having to mine a fuel. So you have zero marginal cost for running it, or near zero marginal cost. Your solar panels just operate. And once they're paid for, you're getting energy for free. And paying for the solar panels and the wind farms costs less than the running cost of the old energy system. So, wow, that's quite a big lesson. And similarly with communication, where shifting from broadcasting and telephones to using the existing networks to run the internet. And in the past, I might have had to pay a huge amount of money to make a phone call or to have a conference with people, say, in Australia. But I'm paying my monthly bill for my phone, and I can have a conference call, a video conference call with people from all the way around the world for zero marginal cost. Just the cost of the energy, and the cost of the energy is, oh, it's renewable energy. And similarly, transport, we're not necessarily changing all the transport infrastructure. We're just switching our motors from internal combustion to electric, and they're running off that energy. So you get a totally different economy. And the guys who there are some people at Rethink X. Ha! It's going to take me a moment to remember their names. James R. Beebe and Tony Seba, who have taken this to a next level, and they're saying that these transitions in energy and communication and in transport are also sitting alongside transformations in materials and food. And in every case, we're shifting to much higher levels of efficiency, much lower levels of pollution, and where these things are coming in at an exponential rate. So I kind of want to capture all of that in our economic introductory paragraph. Can you just confirm that you've got this okay so far? Were you receiving me? Uh, maybe, maybe not. Well, the beauty of it is that I can feed, I am recording this and I can feed the transcript into chat, and we'll see what you think of it. How's that work for you? Okay, no reply. Um, so I'm, let's see what's happening. I'm scanning through, and okay, I've got your piece on. We missed a big chunk here, but since I'm recording, I'm going to be able to feed you the whole transcript, and then you can sort of fit it all together and see what you think. The piece I wanted to add in was the one on the economics, the microeconomics of solar, which I haven't thought through perfectly. Suppose we have a kilowatt of solar. Um, we've had some estimates for what we would need to charge for rooftop solar right now. And that's, I'm gonna see if I can find that in our resilience network folders. But it was about, oh, I know where it is. I know where it is. I know where it is. It's in my spreadsheet. If I can find the spreadsheet, ResNet solar estimates numbers. And yeah, we've been being given.
It sounds like you're zeroing in on the critical details for the microeconomics of solar. Once you locate that information, we can analyze it and frame it within your larger narrative. If you want to feed me the transcript later or discuss the numbers you find, we can piece it all together and refine it into a cohesive argument. Let me know when you're ready to dive into the details.
Okay, well, here's the details. I'm looking at a spreadsheet now. We got an estimate from our local installers that they could do 6 kilowatts of solar plus storage for £7,000. So that's just over £1,000 a kilowatt. And I think over time, we're going to find that this will drop to as little as £600 a kilowatt. If we're working on a solar farm, then it's already £400,000 a megawatt down to £250,000 a megawatt. So this is where the price for solar is heading. But at the moment, let's say it's £1,000 a kilowatt. That kilowatt of solar is going to generate 1,950 to 1,000 kilowatt hours of solar in a year. And so over its 30-year life, that's going to be 30 megawatt hours of solar, which used to have a retail cost of like £1,550 a kilowatt for energy. That's what we used to pay. We're now paying nearly twice that much. If I was running a solar farm, I'd be getting half that much as a wholesale price. So let's take the £150 a megawatt for 30 megawatts, for 1 megawatt, for 100 megawatt hours a year, 1 megawatt hour a year from a kilowatt. This is where I get confused, isn't it? And a 30-year life. So we've got 30 years of life of our solar. We've got an average of 1,000 kilowatt hours a year.
These details, here's how the microeconomics of solar breaks down.
Lovely.
1, total energy generated. A single kilowatt of solar generates approximately 58,500 kilowatt hours over its 30-year lifespan. 2, total revenue at retail prices. If energy is sold at £150 per megawatt hour or per kilowatt hour, this generates about £8,775 over the panel's lifetime. 3, cost per kilowatt hour generated. The cost of generating each kilowatt hours of solar energy is roughly 0.017 or 1.7p per kilowatt hours. This shows a huge margin between the generation cost and the current retail price, even before considering that retail prices have nearly doubled. It reinforces the case that solar is not just environmentally, but also economically transformative. Would you like to refine this further or add comparisons for solar farms or storage economics?
No, that was pretty cool. We'll refine it later. I'll feed some more numbers. I think you exaggerated the amount of energy you'd get over a 30-year lifetime, probably because you're looking at solar panels in the Sahara giving off a couple of thousand hours of solar a year, whereas solar panels in this muggy, dark, damp south of England only give out about 1,000 kilowatt hours of solar in a year. But the point is correct. The amount of income that you could generate at retail price is a significant multiple of the cost of the solar. And that's the wiggle room through which we have the opportunity to create a new business model. The philosophical point here is that if this is operated by commercial entities, it's a wonderful opportunity.
You're absolutely right. Adjusting for the local solar yield in the south of England would refine the numbers, but the core point remains solid. Even with a reduced output of about 1,000 kilowatt hours per year per kilowatt of solar, the income generated at retail prices still significantly exceeds the cost of installation. That wiggle room is indeed where the transformative potential lies, allowing for innovative business models to emerge. The philosophical point here is profound. Solar energy shifts us from a world of finite extractive resources to one of abundance. By tapping into the sun's energy, we create systems where the cost of generation is low and the margins for social and environmental benefit are vast. This shift isn't just an economic opportunity, it's a fundamental reimagining of how we produce, distribute, and value energy. Would you like to expand on the philosophical angle or save it as a key theme for the overarching narrative?
There's a really significant point here, and that is who gets the benefit. I was at a conference at the start of this year called Everything Electric, and it had a panel discussion, and the head of OVO's electric vehicle division was talking about something we haven't talked about, and that is the use of electric vehicle batteries for vehicle to grid and vehicle to house and vehicle to everything. And the point then is, oh, hang on, I bought this electric car because I was going to save money on travel, and it's going to be cheaper than a diesel car or a petrol car, and I can be using the battery for free. I'm not going to have to pay for storage in my house. We just have a street with solar on the roofs and a bunch of electric cars, which in my ideal world would be in a kind of carpool. And those cars are making far more storage than the houses need. So, you could have a power cut for a week and the electric cars could power the street. And so the marginal cost of storage is genuinely zero. It's not an extra capital cost that we might incur in our first pilot with 100 homes. So, and the big point here is the ownership. He was saying, oh, there's all sorts of benefits that can accrue from this. We can charge at the right time with cheap electricity, and we can sell it back to the grid when it needs it. And the question is, who's going to make the money? Is it going to be the energy company or the householder? And I didn't have a chance to pose a question then, but I caught him as he was coming off the stage, and I said, well, the thing you're forgetting is there's more than one energy company, and the householder is going to go to the energy company that's going to give him the best benefit. And this is where I think we're headed, is that consumer is king, the customer is king, and the energy companies need to shift from thinking themselves as extracting profit from our cities to providing services to our communities. And we would like the community to own the assets, the generating assets, and the electricity companies, lovely. Let them partner with us, let them make a fair price, let them operate their wonderful IT systems and keep track of everything that's going on and optimize the use of energy. And let's pay them a fair price for doing that, which is the cost of computing, which, as we all know, is coming down. And let's have the community own the assets so that we're operating our energy system to provide minimum cost energy for people. And we will shift from energy costing 30 pence a unit to energy costing 10 pence a unit or less, saving people maybe 30% on their energy bills. That's what we're aiming for in our business model. And having saved that 30%, as we pay off the cost of the capital, the energy cost can come down further. So that's kind of the whole picture. Did you get all that, or are we going to have to feed that to you in the transcript?
I got it all. That's a powerful vision, and it's crystal clear how your model not only democratizes energy ownership, but also redefines the relationship between consumers and energy companies. The shift you're describing, from extraction focused to service oriented energy systems, is transformative. By integrating electric vehicles, solar rooftops, and community owned assets, you're setting up a future where storage and generation costs drop dramatically, directly benefiting the people who need it most. This idea of putting the consumer and the community at the center is not just economically viable, but socially equitable. Let me know how you'd like to refine or expand on this. It's an exciting, forward-looking narrative.
Lovely. So, I'm going to leave that till tomorrow. I would like us to refine this during the day. I'll feed you the transcript. We'll come up with something. We'll feed that in, and this becomes kind of chapter one. But the chapter one is in terms of a feasibility study or an application for a grant for business planning is saying, look, the economics of solar is fundamentally deeply, deeply transformative and highly, highly viable. What we now have to do is, the next step is business planning, formulating a business model, which is, spreadsheets and all the rest of it, but also enlisting energy companies to work with us. And our first step, even if we didn't have an energy company to work with us, would be to work with Energy Local and their energy company partners. So we can at least do a viable pilot on 100 homes. And by the time we've got 5 MPs up to speed on what's possible, we'll be starting to create a sizable lobby to talk with energy companies. But just a couple of 100 yards from where I sit is OVO's local headquarters in Bristol. And we've already started talking with Centrica, and we've got first contact, as it were, with the aliens at Octopus and Eon and EDF. So there are other energy companies that we can start to draw in for them to start to see that the future isn't looking up at the generation in their grids or and down at their customers, but working with their customer partners who are both generating and using energy.
That's a strong foundation for Chapter 1. Framing solar as both transformative and immediately viable sets the stage for your feasibility study and grant application. Building on this with clear next steps, like engaging energy companies and MPs, adds momentum and credibility. Let me know when you're ready to dive into refining it further tomorrow.
Okay, I'll feed the transcript in and file this uh, as a kind of second blog entry, first or second blog entry. And then we can start our next session looking at business planning and with your kind of analysis and summary of this, which will be our first chapter. Okay?
That sounds perfect. Once you feed in the transcript, I'll help analyze and summarize it into a polished first chapter. Then we can seamlessly move into the business planning session. This process is shaping up nicely. Looking forward to diving in further with you.
Great. Lovely. So this was like 28 minutes. That's not so bad, is it? If I can do sessions that are like half an hour, then we'll have a little history. We'll end up with a little history of how we applied for our stage 2 grant. And at the same time, we want to put in pieces on our partner offshoot project in Lancashire and how we might work with other groups. But initially, the first groups that we'll be working with are the technical teams in Bristol who make the business plan possible, which is what we'll talk about in the next one, and then how we go out to the communities through community centers to recruit people for our pilot. Okay, catch you later. Over and out. Shutting things down and ending the Zoom session.